Today is February 15th, 2022. This is Mordecai, host of the updates, bringing you your daily Elden Ring update. There is a bunch of news about Elden Ring today. So the PC specs were finally announced this morning through the Elden Ring Twitter account. And as it turns out, the deleted specs from Steam and the image from yesterday were correct. I guess a lot of us didn't want it to be true since it's more demanding than what we were expecting. But it is an open world game coming out in 2022 after all. My advice for anyone wondering if their PC can handle Elden Ring or not would be to get it on release day, launch the game, and see if it runs well or not. And if it doesn't run well, you can always refund it, because Steam allows you to refund a game that you have less than 2 hours in, provided you bought it from Steam store and not a third party, of course. And that's what I'm planning on doing, because I'm not sure if my old PC will be able to handle it at 1440p. Moving on from the specs though, the day 1 patch I talked about yesterday seems to have received some patch notes along with it. These don't really tell us anything, as From Software's patch notes are usually vague and unspecific, but it's safe to say that this applies all the things they thought necessary from the player feedback they received. And I'm hoping the performance on PS5 is improved by now. Anyway, in other news, Famitsu announced today that they will be having a live stream this Friday where Kitao will come on and talk about Elden Ring and explain its charm and details. I'm guessing this will be similar to the stream Famitsu and Kitao did on the first day of the network test, so it's going to be in Japanese and we'll probably get some more footage from the game. Speaking of footage though, there's a new 30-second Elden Ring ad that's been showing up on YouTube the past day or so, and after a long time of refreshing videos with adblock turned off, I finally managed to get it to appear. Then I ripped it and uploaded it last night in case people wanted to see. It does show off a few glimpses of new areas. For example, this first frame seems to be taking place inside the Lucaria/Lake region. Then this shot appears to be of the southern Limgrave or Weeping Peninsula area, as it seems to be showing off these bell creatures, which we know from the press last week to be a thing that you use to duplicate your boss souls. Then we finally get our first glimpse of the snowy area. You can tell this because there's snow on the ground and in the air, and also due to the elevation of the area, as we appear to be very high up when you look at the Erd tree in the background. And we know from the concept map that the snowy area is supposed to be high up in the mountains. Anyway, we catch a little glimpse of the boss as the player does the Ordovis weapon art, and it's unclear who it is, but it could be the demigod of the area. The next snapshot appears to be taking place at the doors to the royal capital, as you can tell by the structures here, which we also see in the story trailer. And as I speculated in the video where I went over Elden Ring's areas, the royal capital certainly appears to be part of the autumnal biome. Then we see a pretty cool looking weapon and Ash of War in this next shot, and then the rest of the trailer is pretty much old stuff. I wonder if this 30-second ad is from the launch trailer and they just started rolling an abridged version of it early. Anyway, in other news, 2 more classes were revealed today on the Elden Ring Twitter account. But since we already know all their names and specific details, it's not very helpful. But speaking of, this image has been circulating around this morning showcasing details of all the classes. And I just want to point out that I believe this is from the guide they gave to journalists who are playing the game right now. Yes, it appears review copies for the press have already gone out, and the review embargo lifts on the 23rd. So that is when we will know how the game is faring when it comes to reviews. And that means they have a little over a week to finish it, which is probably ample time. Anyway, I believe that image is from the guide that journalists receive, as it's customary for publishers to give journalists a guide so they don't get lost and make sure they can finish the game so they can give a review. I will say though, a bunch of other images from that guide have been leaking, and they do contain names of some bosses and areas from later in the game, so be wary of it, as they are out there on the internet. Additionally, the journalists in Southeast Asia have received this press kit that you're seeing in the background right now. And it comes with a few postcards, a journal, a spectral steed whistle, and a flash drive disguised as a sword. Something that would be pretty cool to own. But at this point, I'd just be happy to play the game. And there's not much time left until the journey ends. So for now, this has been your daily Elden Ring update for February 15th, 2022.